Welcome back to Disc Coverers, the only podcast online that reads, reviews, and ranks all 41 of Sir Terry Pratchett's comic fantasy novel series, The Discworld. I am your host, Iris J. Pronouns are she or there if you're feeling spicy. And with me are my magnificent co-hosts. Why don't you introduce yourself here in the room, June, followed by Belina and Grace.
Hello, I am Juniper Theory, she, her. I am sitting next to Iris because I was too lazy to take the bus home and record there. So I hope you enjoy the sound of my voice through Iris's mic.
I am Belina, she/they/CB. I am just happy to be here.
And I am the internet's beloved Princess Grace, she, her, fey, fear, fair, if you're spicy. A pleasure.
Yeah, really excited to talk about this book that we're talking about today. This is The We Free Men, our 30th Discworld novel. It's Terry Pratchett's second young adult offering and the first of the Tiffany Aching series. A book series that this is my first time reading it. This is some untrodden ground for me, very unusual for the Discworld series. But yeah, this was fresh.
This is also, this is the book series that I have the least experience with. Like, I've read a little bit of the Witches series before this thing, I think. I've read a lot of, basically everything, but the one series in Discworld that I had no idea what was in it, really just never picked it up, was the Tiffany Aching series. So I've been really excited to get to these and see what's up with them.
I skipped over all the young adult stuff back in the day because I was told it wasn't as good as the main things. And unfortunately, I didn't know better than to punch people back then, but, you know.
But see, if you'd read this book, you would have known to, like, make up your own mind.
Yeah.
I will say this, if I had read this book as, like, a 10-year-old or something, it would have made me it would have fucked with my brain. I would have been like, this is the coolest book I've ever read. This is, we mentioned it a bit, we were talking before the podcast, but this is maybe the book that feels like an actual young adult novel.
Yeah.
Amazing Maurice felt like a more serious book that was kind of an young adult novel, and you were pretty surprised at how dark it got. This book, I read it and I go, dang, if I was like 8 years old and I was reading this, I would think that this is the coolest book I've ever read, and I would be so obsessed with it, and I'd
absolutely
be insane.
If I was still a precocious, bookish, child, this would have spoken to me. Now I'm too old to be precocious. Now I'm just cautious.
I think you're pretty precocious.
Can you be precocious in like 30? I feel like there's an age at which point you're just like wise or whatever.
Maybe. I've probably always been post-cautious myself.
Yeah. Very cautious, very cautious.
One of those dour children. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. An old soul, I think they call it.
Before we get into talking about our opinions on the book, why don't we first recap what the book was about? If our master synoptrix Belina is willing to take the reins on this one. Whenever you're ready.
You must have really done a good job editing last time. You're still calling me a master at this point, but
you're good at it.
You're
Wonderful. We love it.
okay.
None of us could do it.
Last time was nightmare mode because you had all three of us in the same room looking at you.
Yeah, that was...
Plus Roxy and Nero spectating. So, like, yeah, it was pressure time. Now you're back in your element. You're in your synoptorium, and you're ready to deliver a delightful summary of what happened in The We Free Men.
We will have to cheer you on quietly, though.
Yes.
Simply send our waves of encouragement, our gunby.
Please imagine a small bug sitting on your microphone cheering for you, because that is what
I do.
Doing.
Don't worry, I do that anyways.
Yes.
Move.
Anyways, the elves are coming back. The queen has found a weakness in the world in the chalk, a remote region of Lancre known for its titular mineral composition and its sheep. And the closest thing that it has to a witch is the 9-year-old Tiffany Aching, granddaughter of the closest thing to a witch that this region has had in some time, and perhaps the most protagonist brainchild that Terry's written yet. Thankfully, despite a complete lack of training and the initial gross misunderstanding of what a witch is or does, Tiffany does not have to face the threat alone. Along with a toad loaned to her as an ersatz familiar, she has the aid of the Nac Mac Feegle, aka the We Free Men, aka the Pixies, who have a clan in the chalk, and they've respected Granny Aching to such a degree that they afford much of the same reverence to Tiffany herself. As former subjects for the Queen, they have every reason to help her fight back, although really any excuse for a fight is good enough for the Feegles. Before any real plans get made, the Elf Queen abducts Tiffany's younger brother Wentworth, which spurs Tiffany to find her way to the Queen's realm directly to get him back. Navigating through a world in which dreams are as solid as she is, Tiffany and the Feegles fight through nightmares taken from other worlds, dreams nested within other dreams, and her own awful memories until she reaches the Queen and Wentworth at its center. The Queen, while adept at controlling dreams as well as the perceptions of others, is not actually capable of much in terms of physical resistance, and when it finally comes down to a final confrontation, Tiffany finds a well of resolve deep within her that gives her the strength to beat the Queen in the Battle of Wills, and manages to send her back with a warning that the chalk is protected. By the time the established witches of the area show up, there's not much for them to do beyond congratulate Tiffany and make sure that she can become apprenticed to learn the parts of witchcraft that she hasn't already managed to figure out on her own, as is the way of things with witches.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Short one this time.
Woo.
I mean, it's this is the book that feels most like a kind of normal plot. Like,
Yeah.
protagonist gets chosen, protagonist goes on an adventure, protagonist wins.
Yeah.
I'm diving right into my big conclusion about this book. But the weirdest thing about this book to me was that Tiffany didn't fuck up. Like,
Yeah, no.
every other Pratchett protagonist spends a lot of time making bad choices or being embarrassing or doing something wrong, and you see them grow from a loser to who you want them to be. Tiffany just grows from being a very precocious child to a very precocious child who beat up a fairy queen.
Like she spent some time going like, well, I don't know what's going on, but then like the people in her life usually give her advice, or she just like does some bullshit and it works out, which is how witchery works on the disc. So yeah, I guess she's got that going for her.
It is funny that in this book, like, it was true in The Amazing Maurice, and it's true in this book. While this book has a lot more ties to, like, the rest of the Discworld, with, like, mentioning witches, mentioning, you know, the our gals at the end and stuff, this book doesn't use the word Discworld anywhere in it, and it doesn't go into, well, this isn't our world, it's a world on the disc or whatever. It's very low-key about it being part of Discworld canon, which I thought was pretty interesting. Maybe that's
they
because
did the same thing in Amazing Maurice.
Yeah. Maybe that's because this is meant to be a starting point for readers, and that it didn't seem right to start with a big sweeping look at Atuin or whatever. I don't know.
It's not important, really. I mean, to be perfectly honest, the majority of Discworld books don't need to bother with the establishing shots. Like, they're just there because everybody expects them.
Right.
Everyone knows that kids can't understand turtles until they're like 17 or so.
I mean, kids might already figure that we're on top of a giant turtle. That it's a nonsense worldview, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that would have been like. Also, I guess it would have been kind of an overload to start with a magical place, and then say, "Oh, there's this other even more magical place that this girl has to deal with." This at least establishes some semblance of normalcy, I suppose. It really reminded me, not a little bit, but a lot, of the work of... Have any of you read any books by Diana Wynne Jones?
Oh gosh, what did she write?
She's probably best known for being the author of the novel Howl's Moving Castle that the Ghibli movie was based on. But she did a whole lot of other books, including a series called The Crestomancy, which was a kind of a series of books about a guy who's sort of kind of like a Doctor Strange figure, where he's like the adjudicator of magic across 11 different universes with varying amounts of magical puissance between them. She did the Merlin Conspiracy. She did a bunch of stuff. Really, really good writer. Did a lot of stuff in like the YA vein as well. And her books are they have a very similar vibe to this, where it's like, often they'll take place in universes that are kind of similar to ours, but not entirely different, and it'll follow people often just going about their normal lives and trying to take on fantastical situations with a very sensible attitude. She did a book called Dark Lord of Dirkholm that, if you're into like isekais that are like, what if video game was real? This is a major progenitor that got written back in the 80s that was like an early version of that, where it's this wizard who ends up getting recruited to be a Dark Lord for a magical tourism company. And it's a fuck of a lie.
Huh.
Yeah. Diana Wynne Jones, that might end up being an early recommendation for later in the podcast. But yeah, this reminded me a lot of like a it felt like Terry trying to write like her, which was interesting.
I could see that, especially with this being such a specific type of young adult book, because like, I mean, the previous young adult novel, Amazing Maurice, felt a bit based on kind of like an Ankh-Morpork sort of style. You've got a bunch of wacky guys, you got a weird village, there's a lot of scamming going on. Like, the base premise is who's scamming who on a base level. The scammers show up to town and find out that there's already much worse con men in the town. While this is based more on the witches, I'd say. There's magic here, and the magic is scary and worrying and very bad, which is a style that I think fits more with a lot of other like young adult fantasy writers, the good ones, that are like very interested in talking about magic in a way that feels heavier than what you expect as a kid. When they present magic to you and you go, this feels real because it's serious.
Yeah.
I did notice there was a specific thing that Terry went way more out of his way this time to be accessible. This is the first time that he made the pun or play on words joke and then immediately had to explain, no, you meant pun.
Yeah.
He has never done that before.
That's one of the things I noticed is, like, this is, I guess it makes sense it's for younger audiences because, like, he does feel the need to explain things a little more, both his jokes and his, like, just, like, what's going on.
Yeah.
A lot, your typical Pratchett book is a lot more willing to, like, not let you know what's going on, at least until the back half.
Yeah, the Toad seem to exist almost entirely to be someone to explain stuff to Tiffany.
Yeah. It really didn't provide anything else to the narrative. Like, and I got, like, while I was reading that, I was like, aren't some of these things kind of being hammered a little bit too much? But then I realized, kids have trouble remembering things sometimes. And also there's a significant possibility that combined with the chapter setup of how the book is arranged. This has distinct chapters in it. Made me think about, this might be being read like, to a kid at bedtime or like as part of a class assignment or something. So it's like kind of a serial sort of thing. So each chapter is like an episode, So it makes sense to have like, okay, if it's been a while, just to remind you, Tiffany's trying to get her brother back. She's real worried about whether she's going to be a real witch. The queen is scary, etc., etc., etc.
I think it's also worth pointing out that this was released in 2003. This was very much a post-Harry Potter world.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, the first Harry Potter movie came out in 2001, and of course the books had been out for years at that point. But so this isn't like the first, but the fact that Tiffany keeps harping on about a witches' school, there's no way that that's not influenced by what was the pop culture at the time.
Some sort of magical witches' school.
And yet it was 3 years too soon to be about the Nintendo Wii free men.
Grace, I find you so delightful, much to my confusion sometimes.
Happy to help.
Well, I gotta say, so I guess just on a base level, like, did y'all like this book? Like, what did y'all think of it in general? We've talked already a little bit about it, but like, how did you feel?
I think it gave me an existential crisis at points, but I'll get into that later.
Oh boy. I think this book doesn't have any. It doesn't have a lot of favors done for it by being the one immediately after Night Watch. I thought it was fine. I thought it wasn't bad. There weren't parts of it that were like, this sucks. It was fine. I didn't like go apeshit gaga over it or anything, and it definitely felt like I was reading a book for children. So it was kind of like, I don't know if I'd read it again, but it was there. I would read it again if I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing a full run through of the Aching novels again. But as it stands, it's okay. I don't know.
Yeah, it's because, again, as I said earlier, I spent the entire time thinking, like, man, if I were, like, 10 years old again and I was, a precocious child who, looked too closely at things, then I would have loved this. As an adult, it's, this is fine. I have nothing against it. It's perfectly serviceable novel.
Same feeling you get when you're, like, walking around out in the world and you see, like, a really cool looking like playground, and you're like, oh man, yeah, that probably makes some kids pretty happy. Well, I gotta get back to my walk.
I'll probably like this one more in hindsight once we get another Tiffany Aching book.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this is an origin story book.
Oh yeah.
I talked with actually my girlfriend a bit about that because I know a few of the other Tiffany Aching plots vaguely, and I knew that they were a bit more on the what I kind of expect from this sort of book, which is you're a kid, so you make a bad choice and you fuck everything up and you got to deal with it side of things. And I talked, and my girlfriend suggested that maybe that was a purposeful choice, that this book was meant to be a draw you in with the threat is external. The threat is something that you see outside, and you're a precocious child and you can deal with it. While then the later books move more into you have to do self-analysis and think about who you are as a person, and then moving from there back into, and now that you're growing, you have to look at the world again, and that, which is interesting, and I have no idea if that holds up, because I haven't read the rest of the books, but I'm curious.
We're going to find out, yeah.
I will say, I think I liked this book more than y'all. I really enjoyed it. It was like, I really enjoyed it. Some part of me just really liked getting to put myself in the place of, like, what if I'm a kid, and what if I'm just watching myself go on an adventure? What if I'm looking at all this stuff? I would be smarter than all those adults. I could handle all of this. Like, it's something that I think is fun every once in a while. I think it's a fun thing. And I think most kids' books are really terrible at it because when they do try and do that, they don't give you an actual threat, or they make it too... It's hard to write a book like that doesn't have an internal, the main character is fucking up or made some terrible choice or did a bad wish or something, because you don't usually feel like the threat means anything. Mm-hmm. But here I think that Pratchett did a pretty good job. It's genuinely pretty scary what she's up against. It's genuinely very worrying.
It helps that the Queen got a dry run in Lords and Ladies. I was surprised to see her in this book. It was wild that this is a direct sequel to Lords and Ladies. I love that.
Yeah, I enjoy we got a Revenge of the Elves. I think this, might be kind of a better Elves book than Lords and Ladies, or at least, like, it's a little more polished.
Mm-hmm. I liked Lords and Ladies a little more because it was a little more exciting and goofy, but this is definitely a more well-assembled book than Lords and Ladies is, for sure. But... I
do
thought
appreciate that Terry didn't feel the need to stoop to give us a bunch of idiot bumbling adults.
No. Adults are barely in this.
I mean, like, you could make an argument about some of the teachers from early in, but the point with the teachers was that they were all really good at one thing and bad at everything else, which that's fine. I can't like fault that. No. But Tiffany is tripped up more by her own self-doubt than anything else.
Mm-hmm. And with Miss Tick, she felt like less of an adult and more like kind of a older sister sort of character. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I pictured her as being kind of like in her like this like crusty college kid who's in way over her head or something. I loved Miss Tick. I hope she comes back.
Yeah,
it would be nice for her to actually do something.
Yeah.
It was very funny seeing her at the beginning as like, oh, she's a witch, she's so cool. And then at the end where it's just like, oh no, wait, Pratchett's favorite character is here. Now Miss Tick gets fucked. Yeah. She gets embarrassed in front of the big lady.
She gets dunked on for thinking she can't do magic on chalk, but now turns out there's flint in chalk, which is really good.
The word flint comes up a lot when you're describing Rainy Weatherwax. It's kind of a shame that Margaret wasn't there because she would have had some things to fucking say.
She's got queening to do.
I know she's got important shit doing. It's kind of vague as to when exactly this takes place, and it was intentionally kind of wobbly.
Anita Perdita is around somewhere. Agnes, this might have been on the way to the fucking opera house or something. We don't really know.
Yeah, again, it's very distinct. Like Pratchett doesn't even have it. Well, I guess didn't have an actual time, and he was very evasive when asked about it. He said, about now-ish. But he didn't want to lock it into any particular moment because it wasn't important to the plot when it happened.
Right.
It is kind of a removed from almost everything book. That is a way in which it's very similar to Amazing Maurice. It doesn't really feel that connected to much, even though it has like the witch. It's a completely new place and a completely new character, and it could kind of happen whenever.
Yeah, because and that's one of the things he mentions. It's like, if you set it where somewhere the witches can easily get to, it's going to be a witch book. If you put it in Ankh-Morpork, it's going to be a watch book. And so, if you want it to be its own thing, you kind of have to put it somewhere else.
I am very glad that he gets over that problem in later books. Because we are going to get a lot of Ankh-Morpork books in which the watch is only sort of there.
Yeah, which makes me very happy.
Thank goodness.
I'm very excited to do Going Postal soon.
Yes, that's only a few books away.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Very
what
exciting.
did y'all think of the...
What y'all think of Tiffany?
Oh, okay, that's a much better one.
Yeah,
what did y'all
let's
think
talk about the main
let's talk about
character of the
that.
book. What y'all think of Tiffany? I thought she was cool.
I joked about her being the most protagonist brainchild that Pratchett's ever written, and I stand by it, frankly.
I can see that, yeah.
Absolutely agreed. She has extreme protagonist brain. Over and over in this book, she is presented with, here is the chance to do the wrong thing, and she goes, I'm going to be a witch instead. It's just something she does constantly.
She's got that first sight and second thoughts, yeah.
She has Pratchett. She has she has the attitude of someone who's been a Pratchett protagonist for like 3 books already.
Yeah.
Yes.
But also, I did find her very charming. I did find her very fun to see her run around and do stuff.
Yeah. I like to see her, you can kind of empathize with her. It's, you're rooting for her, You cheer for her when she does something good. You, kind of feel for her when she, there's this whole running thing where, she's always trying to save her brother, and they keep teasing her, oh, you must love him, and she's mentally kind of no, not really. He's kind of annoying, but, he is my brother. I have to,
Yeah.
What does love have to do with it? But I do care about him, and part of the book is her, naturally feeling kind of bad about that, and kind of getting him kidnapped in the first place, but also, well, she didn't have anything to do with that, but, kind of getting over that, and also, her brother having some character growth while he's been kidnapped.
Yeah. I did like that because, I mean, speaking as somebody who grew up with a sibling, it's very rare, you read a lot of, kids' books that are oh, well, my brother could be annoying sometimes, but, we're family, gotta love him, we're so close and stuff, whereas it was kind of refreshing to be you're allowed to kind of find your brother annoying. You're allowed to feel a way about your family, and you still got to do stuff about him. But you still got to go save him and shit. But that's it's.
I appreciate that his character growth was not anything like you would normally expect.
No,
he just found something else to fixate on, and that's beautiful.
Yeah, Tiffany
and he does start helping out a little bit.
Yeah, Tiffany was less about oh, but I really do love him. It's more I am responsible for him. This is. He's part of the family, so we got to do this. But he falls under more to the purview of I'm a witch and I'm an aching more than oh, but he really isn't so bad. Same
also,
thing with
Wentworth is implied to be 3 or something, right?
He's 5. Yeah, he's not. It's one of those things. It's just if you're a little kid and there's an even littler kid, then it's the littler kid is probably gonna get on your nerves a little bit.
Yeah, he's not really old enough to be fun or have much of a personality to him, which is fine.
Wentworth shouldn't have to. If this book ended without Wentworth having any character development, that would have been fine too. He's
it's the moral is that sometimes children are kind of annoying.
That's fine. Same thing with Roland too, who was a hilarious character.
God,
shitty little barren fail son.
He's a fancy lad.
I tried to tell them you saved me, but they wouldn't believe it. Fuck you, kid. You knew where you could shut up and profit from it. I was exactly that kind of shitty kid. I understand. You're not good for it, but it's not entirely your fault.
I'm sorry. They were just too excited about how successful and cool and heroic I was.
God.
I think he's a good blend of being just like, he's a shitty little kid who you hate, but also there's just enough to him that you're like, this isn't really your fault. This isn't entirely your fault. You're a kid. You're making bad choices. Like the ending scene with Tiffany where he says an awful thing and she's like, and you regret that right now a lot, don't you? And he's just like, yeah, I do. It really implies like a kid who is a shithead but could get better, maybe, depending on what happens. And like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a good place for a character to be.
Yeah, it's very like, you know how when you see like the kid of a president or some political figure, but the kid's like 10 years old, he doesn't really like understand or have any culpability in what's going on. It's kind of like, I kind of feel bad for you, but also, you could have me killed, so
I don't feel that bad.
Yeah, and there's a whole thing there about how, witches don't take credit, but they know how to have debts owed to them, is kind of the implication there.
Yeah.
I realized that a major theme was supposed to be that Tiffany is already a witch. I'm just realizing that no, she not only is she very much already a witch, she's very much a witch in the Esmeralda Weatherwax school. She has that same selfishness, that same regretting that she has to do her duty, that she has to be strong and deal with all of these problems and take care of people who can't take care of themselves. She's going to grow up to be exactly like her.
She has a whole moment about, like, weaponizing her selfishness, right? Like, she's up against the queen, and the queen's, like, fucking with her, and she's like, no, yes, that is my brother, and this is my land, and these are my, this is my family, and, you get your fucking hands off of them. They're mine to protect, they're mine because I'm responsible for them.
It's interesting. I wonder if when Pratchett was writing this, he was already thinking about, like, do I want to someday replace Granny Weatherwax or something, like make a successor in that way? Because I know that later on with Moist, who, this is the stuff that I know about, this is spoilers, but a lot of people have theorized that Pratchett was someday going to replace the patrician with Moist, which is an interesting theory that I have no real opinions on. And someday, Grace, you'll know who Moist is. But I
hear great things about him.
That, of thinking of like building a successor from scratch in this way, really showing more people like Granny who he can be obsessed with in the same way he's obviously obsessed with Granny.
Yeah, it's interesting also that like in another, I could easily believe that with this book there was an alternate version that started as a Weatherwax Origins book. But ultimately it seems like it's probably better that he started with an entirely different thing, because also this meant that he got to write in so much stuff about the chalk, essentially the southeast of England, which is, they say in the back of the book, it's where he grew up and where he lives and what he knows a whole lot about in regards to sheep herding and stuff like that. And there's so much wild-ass, weird little, very site-specific sheep trivia in this that it really, like, the Discworld is essentially our world, but this book, it is almost one-to-one that this is definitely a real place.
That might have been my favorite part of this book, was just how much of a lot of the stuff felt like Pratchett being like, you know what's cool? Sheep herding. And I want to talk about it because I grew up around it and you're going to listen to me talk about it whether you like it or not.
He so clearly loves the setting. It's really cool.
That whole arc with the, there's this whole thing where Tiffany wins a porcelain shepherd girl figurine at the fair and gives it to her grandmother. And there's this whole thing where she, like, feels bad about it because it's like, well, you don't wear this, and she's like, does Granny, like, does she resent me for this? Does she, like, is this, like, hey, here's this, like, perfect, idealistic kind of mockery of the thing you are, which is this, this spitting, like, elbow deep in a sheep kind of shepherd lady. And I have to wonder if that's, like, ripped from, at the very least, something he experienced, right? That sort of deep, bizarre shame. Or that
Yeah.
whatever the hell's going on there.
That whole bit was really interesting, I thought, because like it really does kind of, both in terms of what a witch is and what a shepherd, it really does. It's about how our ideals of something can be so strongly off mark with what the realities of that actually is. Like Granny Aching was, for all intents and purposes, a witch. She just funneled all of her witching into being a shepherd because it was more advantageous for her, and it was more important for her to be a shepherd than to wear a pointy hat and do all the witch stuff. But it really, being a shepherd and being a witch in this book are two career paths that are really like, people's idea of what they do is dramatically based on just kind of like imagery and is wildly different from reality. People's idea of these feminine roles are wildly either dressed up to be prettier or reviled as societally wrong. Whereas the reality of them is just trying to be really attuned to the world around you, being willing to get your hands dirty, and not taking any shit from anybody. I don't know. Interesting parallels drawn there. I really liked Granny Aching and the flashback segments in this book too.
Yeah.
When she was still kicking. She seemed pretty cool. Also, her fucking dogs, Thunder and Lightning, were the sickest shit, and when they show up at the end of the book, that was an extremely cool scene.
Yeah.
She is very, very cool in this book.
Yeah.
Pratchett, that's one of the things that I think appealed to me in the, like, this is a cool kid's book. Pratchett really makes a lot of the stuff seem very, very cool. The fight with a lot of the fighting with the queen and her showing up at the end, and a lot of the, like, weirder, I'm becoming part of the landscape stuff. It feels awesome in a way that I was like, oh, this is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus the whole bit inside of the package of Jolly Sailor tobacco.
Oh, yeah.
That shit being inside the picture because that's how she imagines the sea to be like. That is so cool.
It's such a good bit.
Looking down at the packet and seeing their boat in there.
Mm-hmm. That's some like MC Escher shit.
Yeah, they look up and they see like the label on the packaging, but it's reversed because they're behind it.
Mm-hmm. This is a trashy thing to compare to, but the thing it reminded me of immediately, before anything else, was I should probably say something more like more childish and whimsical, like the Winnie the Pooh movie. But honestly, the thing it reminded me the most of was the one really good level in the Devil May Cry reboot, where you fight essentially Demon Bill O'Reilly by climbing into a TV and running through the motion graphics at the start of the Fox News logo. It's
hell yeah.
It is a fucking cool ass video game level.
When are they gonna make a video game where you can fight the Fox NFL on Fox robots?
I don't know, but I feel like it's only a matter of time. But yeah, no, that bit was really fun. Terry still has a knack for coming up with weird imagery for his eldritch settings, and he's a lot better at it than he was at the start of the Discworld series now. We get a little bit of Dungeon Dimension-y type stuff in this, but not a lot, and it's put towards much better use as this is Fairy Kingdom stuff. Or like with the dromes and like how...
Yeah, the fact that the dromes are like harvested from some other reality.
Yeah, I was so curious. Like we get a glimpse of it and it's like, oh, wow, this is like a sci-fi setting. What the fuck?
Like a world where everything's all worn down and just dead. And I expected the L-Space notations to, like, mention a specific series or something that this was aping, but no, it was just some weird bullshit out of the back of Terry's head.
Yeah, they spend all their time in Dream, and they're not very, they're used up, they're boring. I thought, like, the whole bit where, like, when she's in Fairyland, like, the trees are just kind of, like, weird blobs until you look at them, at which point they have to, like, paint in the detail. It's such a cool touch.
Yeah.
The way that it's described at times is like a tick on reality. It's just like, oh, that's a good imagery of something.
Parasite universe.
I will say, I felt like, and this is maybe one of our most common thoughts about a Pratchett book, but I felt like the ending went on a little long.
Yeah.
It, once again, feels like you kind of fight the queen, like, 5 times.
Yeah, she just...
I need to point out that she goes through the portal to Fairyland at about the 50% mark of the book. So the entire back half of the book is Fairyland.
I wonder if part of that is... one of the things that did kind of work is a lot of the chapters feel like they end on a cliffhanger of, oh no, things got bad again. I wonder if Pratchett was thinking about the idea of, like, what if a parent's reading this to their kid?
Oh, yeah, I think
like,
so.
I gotta make sure that every chapter has a fun ending where you get to tell your kid, and then the queen showed back up. Oh,
Dun, dun, dun.
We'll read the next chapter tomorrow.
Good night. Oh, yeah, yeah. It encourages that. But you know what else we haven't talked about? We haven't talked about the group the book is actually named after, the Nac Mac Feegle, the wee free men themselves.
What y'all think of them?
I thought they were fun. Yeah, I think a girl witch needs some, like, weird little guys.
I can't argue with that.
They are some weird little guys.
I don't know. I guess is this book weird about they're like Scottish, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you gonna ask?
Yeah,
does this book consider Scottish people to be a different species?
Like, no, I just it's
They're all little Bravehearts, right?
Is
yeah,
this like
like
that
they
one?
are-
Is this gonna be like that one episode of Garth Marenghi's Dark Place?
it goes so hard on every single one of these guys is the most over the top stereotype of guy from Scotland who wants to beat people up but is kind of dumb. That like it's really a lot. I don't know. I don't really know much about, especially because like a lot of times when I've seen shit like that, it's written in books that are about like London or upper class English stuff. But this is not about like a bunch of rich people from England going, look at those weird people from Scotland. This is about someone who is in totally not England, but another very poor part.
Yeah, this book is like, look at these little guys are not very bright, and they steal and drink and fight constantly. And to be clear, that is based because they revolted against the Queen of the Fairies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and like
the fact that they're like this is only ever positive for them.
Their notion that they are in heaven because they died in whatever the other world is, and this is their eternal reward where they can drink and fight and drink.
That is good.
it is a pretty good bit.
Is this, if you compare it to, like, the Lost Continent, is this, which I think was arguably weirder, is that weirder about Australia than this is about Scotland?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Yes, I think that's a definite yes.
I guess it's just like it's not that I'm necessarily like, oh, this book is racist against people from Scotland or stuff. It's more just like I don't really have the cultural understanding to get what's going on here.
Yeah.
And at times it felt a bit weird. I don't know. If you understand this
you're
more,
Scottish.
if you're from Scotland or from Southeast England or just from England in general and know things more, read this book, let us know because I'm American.
Yeah. It's a foreign land to us.
I did like them at times. I did find them charming.
They were good.
They were great little characters, and it was hard not to love them. But no, I that was kind of in the back of my mind the whole time, and it just like I do not have an experience to have an opinion on that.
Is this cool? Are we cool
Yeah.
with this?
Is this weird? Is this, like, perpetuating some
Like-
deep cultural divide?
Like it is definitely it's definitely propagating every possible stereotype about Scottish people, like all of them at once. But like, is this like a problem, or
is it just like a charming flip of what you usually consider fairies to be like? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I think it's interesting that we get a view into their sort of like termite-style societal structure as well, with the whole queen and everything, and or the Kelda and shit, and they make her the Kelda for a temporary amount of time just to deal with this whole fairy queen issue. It was, I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. It really makes me think back to the last time the Nac Mac Feegle showed up, which I think was, I want to say, was that Weird Sisters, or was that
I thought that was We Free Men.
Was that Lords and Ladies?
Not of course it was We Free Men. You know what I meant. I meant Lords and Ladies, I swear.
Lords and Ladies. It might be Lords and Ladies, I think.
I believe it was, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Did they show up in that?
Yeah, they did. To help King Varence.
Oh.
They gave him some funky booze, and they sent him to fight.
That. Yeah.
They gave him some special least cheap liniment.
Yeah. They gave him the good stuff and sent him back to kick ass. Yeah, no, they were good. I liked the one guy who rode around on a vulture. He was cool.
Yeah.
Hamish.
Yeah.
It did feel like a lot of stuff in this book maybe didn't get explored as much as it could have. There's a lot of hints at bigger stuff that just kind of gets left.
Yeah.
Like there's the whole section where the one girl is like really, really jealous and mad about.
Even though this is like a known thing that like you can't be Kelda of the tribe of Feegle you grew up in. That's just that would be incest, and incest results in bad things. Yeah. So like we all knew this would happen, but she still seems really kind of I guess more like having a human come in and take over the role was kind of the thing to smart her.
Like I get why you would be annoyed about that, but I kind of thought it would go somewhere. I thought that like later in the book she'd do something terrible.
There'd be a power
out of
play
jealousy.
or something.
There'd be a power play or something. But then at the end of the book they're just like, no, she left.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just kind of got over it.
Yeah.
Kind of a loose end.
There's some other stuff that kind of feels like that, where it's not like bad. That doesn't
I don't necessarily think it needed to be explored, because the book was already, it was tight, it was well enough constructed. I don't think it really had the slack for it, because this is not one of the traditional Discworld books. This isn't really about world building precisely.
I could see that being there in an earlier draft, but maybe it was cut out. I feel like I'm going nuts because we've read so many Discworld books at this point that I'm reading books and I'm seeing like ghost drafts of the books that they probably were earlier on in their production before they became the finished book that I have in my hand. It's a very strange sensation. But yeah, they really shaved it down to like, okay, let's talk about what Tiffany and what Tiffany's doing and what Tiffany's thinking, and let's not try to stray too far from Tiffany's experience. And maybe that's like a book for kids kind of thing too, where it's as a kid, if you're reading this, you're essentially riding alongside Tiffany for this adventure. You're in for wherever this road takes you. This isn't going to be pinging around.
Yeah, there's not the usual A plot, B plot structure where you have like, where with Tiffany the whole way through, it's not like there's, usually there's, 2 or 3 plots and they kind of come together at the end, but here it's all her.
Yeah.
I feel like in another book we may have followed Ms. Tick as she, left and tried to find our usual witches.
I would have liked that.
But instead she just kind of like vanishes for most of the book. Which again makes sense because that's part of Tiffany's arc. Is because Miss Tick says, wait here, I'll come back with witches who will deal with this, and then of course, she doesn't wait around for that.
Yeah, I don't know. It just felt like some of the stuff in the book didn't go the places I expected, or go that many places in general. But I mean, once again, like the book is short. It definitely feels like it's written for kids. It feels it feels like a book that was made for young adults. It feels like a young adult book. I keep saying that, but like I kept thinking about that through the book. I kept thinking about how this would feel to be read out loud to me, how cool I would find stuff like that, how like then the weird structure where it kind of keeps not ending wouldn't have bothered me as much. The lack of other characters wouldn't have been a big thing because I would have been so laser focused on Tiffany and all of that. It feels like it would work really well for that, even if as an adult I'm kind of like, I wish we'd seen a little bit more and had a little bit more to chew on. I did love a lot of Fairyland, though.
Natch.
Mood. Part that and the this got an illustrated edition, which is what I wound up reading, and I think that would have also been fun to read with or as a kid, because you know, both in that it's illustrated, you can show them the pictures, and like they include like little like phony like legal writs and like fake flyers for the witch school in Tiffany's head and so on.
Oh man, I wish I'd found that version. I didn't know there was an illustrated version. That's cool.
Yeah. We can dig up a PDF, but including one of the jokes I liked enough to write down, which is that we teach divination, blah blah blah, hieromancy and loweromancy.
Wah, wah. Trying to find what my favorite joke was.
I enjoyed the bit about the main things the Feegles are scared of being lawyers. I enjoyed that joke, and it coming around in the end.
Yeah,
there's a really funny joke there on some versions of the cover, because there are versions of the cover where you can see the Feegles. It's got all the characters on the cover, and all of the Feegles near the Toad, their swords are glowing blue.
Yeah, which of course is also a reference to Sting from Lord of the Rings, because it glowed in the presence of, what was it, like orcs or some shit?
Orcs.
Primarily orcs, but it would
orcs
also
are
just
here.
glow in general in danger.
If there was problems, it was Spidey Sense Sword.
Yeah,
I think my favorite joke was the scene earlier on with Tiffany and Miss Tick. Good answer. Witches are naturally nosy, said Miss Tick, standing up. Well, I must go. I hope we shall meet again. I will give you some free advice, though. Will it cost me anything? What? I just said it was free, said Miss Tick. Yes, but my father said that free advice often turns out to be expensive, said Tiffany. Miss Tick sniffed. You could say this advice is priceless, she said. Are you listening? Yes, said Tiffany. Good. Now, if you trust in yourself, yes, and believe in your dreams, yes, and follow your star, Miss Tick went on. Yes, you'll still get beaten by people who spent their time working hard and learning things and weren't so lazy. Goodbye.
Good bit.
That's great. That's some classic witchy shit.
We get some good witch gender here.
I liked most of this book. I just didn't like it as much as I liked a lot of other books. I enjoyed it a lot, though.
Good shit. I have some other things on my list I can run down, but none of them are all that exciting to talk about.
Oh, fire away, by all
Please do.
means.
Let's see. So one of the books that Tiffany carries around that she gets from her grandmother is called Diseases of the Sheep, which is another thing from Fallen London that I didn't realize was from here, because
What?
in one of the Fallen London storylines, early on you get a book called Maladies of the Goat that turns out to be important. That's like has a coded message in it or something.
So that has to be a reference to this book particularly, probably.
Absolutely.
Is there anything in Fallen London that isn't a fucking Discworld reference?
I mean,
Yeah, some of them are just regular England references that I didn't realize at the time.
that is the funniest part of playing Fallen London, is hearing about something and going, wow, that sounds so weird, and then later on you Google it. It's like, oh, that's just an English thing. This isn't a weird horror eldritch thing they made up. This is just a thing that people in England have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Evensong or Ealing or Anglicans or Balmoral.
Yeah, Balmoral in general.
That's a place. The Queen died there. I thought they made that up. Let's see. I had to look up the word gazunder because she keeps seeing one under her bed.
We've had that joke a few times already.
Yeah.
It is funny
goes
that
under.
he never actually explained that particular joke.
I assume they know what that is in England.
Possible.
Probably just a local slang thing for the thing that goes under the bed.
One of the Feegles does say, "If you'd care to step on us, mistress," which is funny out of context.
Thank you, Grace.
The queen is described as doll-like, and it's like, a doll and a witch. She preempted empty spaces.
Holy shit.
And we get a whole, one of the flashbacks is about Miss Female Infant Robinson, who's like an orphan who grew up to be all kind of like, who was named that because of a clerical error, and she's there's a whole thing about her, but mostly I wrote down that, like, Miss Female Infant Robinson is something a TERF would call herself.
Yeah, that was an interesting story, too, because it was really about, like, it was really one of the more, like, this book also is kind of about, like, workers running a community, and also that particular story was about, like, what do you do with people who don't fit neatly into society? You can't just, like, the solution that is on the chalk right now is we call them witches and we kill them. But back in the day, it was thanks to Granny Aching stepping in, like female infant Robinson did steal a kid. That was bad. But also she had some brain stuff going on and she had a lot to deal with. So you can't just like write her off as a bad person. You need to have empathy for her and people like her too.
It was actually something,
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons I liked the book so much as a young adult book, is all those sections with Tiffany remembering things. Because there's a real sense of remembering someone who you could trust to be an adult about things. Someone more powerful or who had some amount of leverage, who handled things in a way that actually helped. That wasn't just them going wrong and horribly, but someone you trusted. And that was something that really stuck out to me as, like, I don't know, that was something that I, like, resonated with. And I was like,
Yeah.
that would have meant a lot to me as a kid, being able to see that and hope that there are people like that out there. Think about people who might have been like that in my life, but usually weren't, because most of the adults I knew were not very cool.
Yeah. Also worth mentioning, I mean, this is on a totally different tack, but I'm like going through like my kind of mental list of stuff to talk about with this book. So the drones pull you into dreams, and the dream that the queen is hiding inside of is based on a real thing. There's a painting by a guy named Richard Dadd called The Fairy Feller's Masterstroke that I think is hanging in the Tate. That's this really, really detailed... You put it in chat earlier, Belina, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, a really, really detailed and strange fiddly painting of a whole bunch of weird little fairy creatures, watching a dude crack a nut with a hammer. I've heard... So the reason I learned about this painting when I was younger was actually not from this book. There's another book where it features significantly Robert Rankin's book, The Witches of Chiswick, where it is a fascination by the main character. It's described in there as being if you see the painting in real life, apparently there are parts of it that are so thick with revisions that paint sticks out of the canvas by millimeters. It's this whole very intense experience to see it in real life too. I don't know if I would recommend that book, by the way. I used to like Robert Rankin a lot. As I got older and learned more what good writing was, his books kind of stopped being good to me. I don't know. But maybe if you're British and you like his stuff, or maybe you don't like his stuff. I don't know what the wider world's opinion on him is. He's the crime novelist Ian Rankin's brother, and he does a lot of weird, quote-unquote, parody books. Also, he has an interesting relationship with gay people.
Ouch.
Yeah. Can't all be winners. Anyways, I learned about the painting from there, and it was great to see it pop up here. I'm like... It was literally like a fucking Wikipedia pointing shot. I'm like, hey, I know that painting. What's up? But check it out if you haven't. I'll link to it in the show notes.
It also adds to kind of the sense that a lot of this book had of being one of the more Pratchett talking about all the stuff he thinks is cool and the stuff he cares about books. especially because there wasn't as much else going on. This really felt like, hey, have you seen this cool painting? Do you know about shepherds? Like, really diving into that.
Do you like this song by The Who?
God.
Pratchett pulling a Kojima in this one.
Who can blame him?
Tiffany, it's Sheep Man.
Alaskan field mice. Alaskan field feagles.
You can wear thick boots to cross rugged terrain without much impediment.
Tiffany entering into a codec call with the toad in her pocket.
The toad was completely useless for most of the book, other than when he was explaining things.
In fact, it turns itself off for the entire duration of Fairyland.
Yeah, because he's sleepy because it's cold, but he does wake up in time to remember that he used to be a lawyer.
That was
the most kid joke in this entire stupid book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very, like, Stinky Cheese Man kind of ending where he's the lawyer suing a fairy godmother for,
Yeah, it was very Shrek. Yeah, so did we have anything else we wanted to talk about, or do we want to move on to the ranking?
I guess I'd ask, is there anything y'all didn't like about this book? Anything that y'all were really just thought this didn't work at all?
The queen was robbed. That's all I'm going to say.
Kind of a ma'am. Free blog.
Yeah, she didn't get to be as cunty as she was in Lords and Ladies.
Yeah. She didn't have to be as cunty. She also felt like just kind of weird in general, how she was portrayed a lot of the time.
Yeah. It was really like, during the final confrontation with Tiffany, it really did feel like almost like a turn-based battle where she was just kind of waiting for her turn to say a thing and do a thing, and then Tiffany would get a turn to do a thing. And then we stopped to look at what happens with the lawyers and the Feegles, and then, it was it wasn't very kinetic. That was the thing about Lords and Ladies, is it really did feel like kind of like an action book. It felt tense. The stakes here, while they were there, weren't as, I don't know. They weren't as direct, and that was kind of limp for it.
Yeah, I can see that, and I can see that, like, it feels like less of a threat, which you're up against a child or whatever. Felt a little.
Yeah, you can't have her be like in like. Also, like, no other elves in this. Like, no other elves. Like, we recognize from Lords and Ladies, where it's like, oh, yeah, they're impossibly hot, and they will kill you, and they don't give a shit.
Yeah. Tiffany is 9. She wouldn't have really caught any of that. But, yeah, no, supposedly the other fairies hanging around were just other elves just in their native habitat, I guess.
Yeah. But it was weird to see them like that and not through adult eyes, where it's like, oh, they're incredibly hot and they make you feel like shit, and they just want to, like, they treat people like they're playthings and all this stuff. That was the other thing too, where it's like, because what we, the freaks who have been reading this book series, know about Discworld elves, I was ready for the other shoe to drop and find out something horrific is happening to these kids. But
the queen was just super depressed the entire time, which, like, mood, but
but I don't kidnap a baby about it.
This was nowhere near the threat that it was in Lords and Ladies.
Like they're all, like, immediately very clear, like, no, like, your brother's probably fine, like, she's probably spoiling him if anything, and the threat is that, like, time skew happens and you show up and you climb out and it's been 100 years, but you've only aged a month, which. Maybe that's another, like, young adult book thing, right? It's you can't write about how the queen will torture you like like you might pull the wings off a fly to see it suffer or something like that.
Not to mention they really missed a trick by not incorporating, like, changeling like stuff. Like imagine, like, oh yeah, Wentworth is back, but he's kind of wrong now. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that be freaky, though? I don't know.
Yeah.
It would be very, very funny if, like, Wentworth had been replaced with someone who was even slightly less terrible than Wentworth, and she goes, oh, fuck, this isn't him.
The fetch is, like, slightly more pleasant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she catches him eating, like, a stick of celery, and she's like, that's just wrong.
I felt like...
Which we almost get when her, like, dream gets, when she's in the dream of her house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I felt like a lot of the stuff in Fairyland felt a bit unclear.
It was half the book, but it was half the book, but it still felt rushed.
Yes.
It felt rushed and also kind of jumping from one thing to the next without it being entirely clear how it worked or why it went to the next thing. Which, if I'm complimenting this book for being a good young adult novel, I know that as a kid I would have been like, wait, but how does that work about a lot of stuff? And yeah, it's supposed to be fairyland, it's supposed to be all this, but it did feel just kind of like it went from one dream to the next, and each time there was a different, oh, well, I solved it with this, but then you didn't really, and it just kind of bounced around a bunch.
Yeah. None of it was like bad. I don't know. This isn't usually the kind of book that I would go out of my way to read. So it's just kind of like, all right. Yeah, it's okay.
I like it.
I can't really like, some of the critiques I have are critiques that will sound stupid because they're not like problems with the book. They're just like differences in personal taste. I wish the book was a little more exciting. Wow. That's not a knock against it. That's just me because I don't know. It's this pastoral type stuff isn't usually what I read. I don't know. Should have had more mice living in people-sized world. That's the best literary genre. We learned that with Maurice.
It does have that problem. It's not your absolute favorite genre ever.
It's true.
Well, it is kind of a little guy living in big people society. They're just not mice.
Yeah, but they're people. That's different.
I am excited to see more of Tiffany, see where we go with her in the future. I'm excited to see, like, because I know this is a series, I'm excited to see her character get explored more and see where they go with her.
Yeah. I'm just hyped that we have more witch content. I love the witches. I'm ready for more witches. Even if they're not my witches, it's still more witches, and I love anything involving witches.
Wantent, if you will.
Wantent, witch content.
As opposed to wand tent, which is more of a wizard thing.
All right, so
Do we want to move on to the rank?
we can do the ranks, yeah. Let's take a look here. So, the easiest book to compare this to is Lords and Ladies from 1992. That comes in at number 12. What would you say that this book was better or worse than Lords and Ladies?
It's been so long.
I think it was a tighter book than Lords and Ladies, and the messiness of Lords and Ladies was something that we have actively used against it when ranking before.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. I feel like I was more into Lords and Ladies though. The vibes were really
Yeah,
You're
like-
right, the vibes were much better, but
yeah.
Lords and Ladies really gets into, like, how fucked up the elves are, which this kind of has to shy away from by virtue of it being, for children.
I don't think it had to, but I think that it would have. I think that going into how fucked up they were would have made that part even longer. And like I said, Fairyland was half the book, but still felt rushed.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it more than Lords and Ladies, I think, just because
Yeah.
I really did have a good time with this book.
I will likewise say, like, I would put it above Lords and Ladies. I don't think I would put it
Okay.
above Thief of Time though. So I think honestly,
Yeah.
I'm arguing for it at position 12.
I think
Okay.
that's where I would put it too, because I think back to Thief of Time and I think of the cool stuff in there, and it just hits a little bit harder for me because it's not a kid's book.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see it at position 12. It's and that's nice too because like it really does feel like of a piece with like the it's neat to have the two, it's neat, tidy to have the two elf books next to each other.
Kissing.
Yes.
I mean,
But yeah, this was I can't lie, this was a better constructed book than Lords and Ladies was for sure.
I do love Lords and Ladies.
Yeah,
though.
it is great, but it's like I love it like I love a B movie.
I
like
think I could
we
go
need to be
back.
clear, we are still in the bangers era. Like,
Yes.
even Terry at his relative weakness is still really fucking good.
Yeah, with one hand tied behind his back, limiting his power level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I still would strongly recommend this book.
Yeah, especially for kids. This is a great place to start out if you've got a little person, a little homie of your own, or if you're your relatives and you want to entertain them with something to read. This is a good choice. But yeah, it's of course if I were giving a Discworld book to a kid, I would probably give them The Amazing Maurice.
Yeah.
I would give this to a younger kid than I would give the Amazing Maurice.
Yeah.
The Amazing Maurice is something I'd give to someone a little bit older who's like wants to read something that's going to be a bit more, hey, wasn't that kind of messed up?
Maybe.
You know?
I don't know. I'm of
This
the opinion that you should give stuff that's kind of messed up to kids.
Oh, I mean, absolutely.
I think you should give media that's kind of messed up to kids to make it be like,
Oh no, absolutely.
I,
This is another reason why I'm upset that the queen was just too normal and the elves weren't properly fucked up. 'Cause I wanted more sharp edges on those nightmares.
You wanted this book to be, you know, a little hornier, but it has to be 0% horny because it's for kids.
Clearly, the queen threw until Tiffany came back as an adult.
I also
Maybe in a later book, who knows?
I think the main reason I'd put this above Lords and Ladies is that there really was a lot of heart in this book when it came to the chalk.
Yeah.
You can really feel Terry's love for the place. And that meant a lot to me. It really meant a lot how much you can feel him writing like, no, this is something that's important and worth valuing. And you can feel how much he puts that into the book. And I think I liked that a lot. I really liked that part of it. And I didn't see that as much with Lords and Ladies. And I think that heart makes up for any, the fact that it's more of a kid's book to me.
Yeah. Cool. Well, number 12 it is then.
All right.
This has been Discoverers. Thank you for listening to us. We really appreciate it. You can find us at discpod.fun. We have social media. There's been more social media shakeups since our last episode. In the world of online, Twitter has decided to fuck everything up by scraping all accounts for AI and also removing blocks and other shit. Like, it just doesn't seem worth it to post it on Twitter anymore. It's a dead site at this point. It's just kind of... I go on there now and it feels like going on Threads where it's just like weird brain people and just like people trying to promote themselves, and that's like it. So I'm probably going to move off of Twitter as well. I've already deleted my own personal accounts on Twitter. You can find us on Blue Sky at discpod at bluesky.social. You can find us on Mastodon at discpod@queer.party. I'm going to be setting up a Tumblr between this point of recording and when you access when you're listening to this. So if you're listening to this now, the Tumblr is live, and you can go and follow us on there too. I don't know how Tumblr has survived this long. I don't know how much longer it has left, but it is a place where people talk about fandoms, and Discworld has a fandom. So if we can reach more people, that's great. In the meantime,
if Tumblr hasn't been destroyed by Matt's like bizarro crusade to have
Matt Automatic's weird WordPress wars with a Z.
Tumblr, it's like co-host, but worse.
It's like co-host, but it sucks shit and you hate it, and it's always sucked shit, and you remember it sucked shit from 10 years ago, but it's there. Still there somehow. But yeah, just because of this, I also want to underline, like, if you like our podcast and you have a friend or a family member who you think might also enjoy the podcast, a lover, a teacher at your college, I don't know, somebody you have, chained to a pipe in your basement as part of some sort of Jigsaw-style murder game. If you know them, and you should tell them about us. You should tell them about our show, because we love getting new listeners, and we love hearing from...
So last month I went to a Netrunner World Championship, which was extremely fun, and I did a bunch of commentary for, which you can find online on the Null Signal Games YouTube page. And the reason I mentioned this is because a number of people there actually talked about the podcast to me. They mentioned it to me.
Oh my god!
I think it's because I posted in Netrunner Spaces about doing the podcast, but like a number of people were like, "Oh yeah, I've listened to your podcast, and these are my thoughts." So if you're a Netrunner person who has listened to the podcast, thank you. Please tell me your thoughts.
Oh my god!
Tell me what you think Discworld cards would look like. What Discworld Netrunner cards would look like. We're not Magic the Gathering, so we can have fun thinking about that instead of wanting to claw our eyes out.
We need a Nanny Og character card. We need it. But yeah, you can also email us at disc at hypnovirus. Or it's hypnovir.us. It's DISC at hypnovir.us.
you have
you
any
can
fan
do
mail?
that, and we may read your stuff on air. Next episode, we're going to be doing Monstrous Regiment. We're going to have a special guest. Our friend Moss is going to come in here to talk about the genderiest Discworld book to date.
I'm real excited for this one.
I'm so fucking hyped for this one. This is going to be a hoot and a half. I'm Iris J. You can find me online at Iris J Comics on social media or irisj.net. For the thing that I'm going to recommend this week, I hope I'm not taking anybody else's suggestion, but fall anime season is here, baby, and they're serving up some treats. There's a lot of good stuff on right now. The obvious front leader is going to be the series Don to Don. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about a series called Demon Lord 2099, which is about, it's kind of like an isekai type series, but it really does sound like somebody's Shadowrun campaign, where it's about a demon coming back from his immortal slumber. He used to be this super cool baddie in kind of a dark fantasy sort of setup, but in the future, the world has fused with our world, and it's Shinjuku, and also it's cyberpunk, but everything runs on magic, and also VTubers rule the world. And he has to become a VTuber in order to get magical powers so he can fight back against, the man. It's very strange, but I love, more so than like, I don't know about more so, but just as much as like big banner series, I love series that are like kind of maybe like mid, but are really trying for something really odd and going full ham with it. This show is kind of what I wanted Metallic Rouge to be. It's got a lot of ideas. It doesn't always execute on them very well, but it is really fun, and I am really entertained by it. So check that out. It's on Crunchyroll. You can see it, or you can pirate it and see it. Demon Lord 2099.
I'm Juniper. You can find me online, Juniper Theory, on Twitch and other places. As far as things to plug, me and some friends do a movie event where we watch a bunch of horror movies through all October. Well, one horror movie every night leading up to watching Ghost Watch, a British horror movie that I find fascinating at the end of the year. And I added a number of picks this year, and some of them were very good. So I'm going to say I would recommend watching some of the films we watched. I watched A Chinese Ghost Story.
I was going to say, you have better mention
Yeah.
A Chinese Ghost Story.
An absolutely just, I don't know how to describe it. It's like
It kicked ass.
It's like a old kung fu film that's also a comedy romance that is also Evil Dead.
Yeah.
And has a Dow rap in the middle of it.
God, the
you
Dow
may
rap
hear
that was
and
so
go,
important
"What
we had
the
to
fuck?"
rewind so
Google
Iris
it,
could see
and you'll
it.
understand.
It was worth it. The Dow rap was worth it.
I was incredibly fun. We also watched Ganja and Hess, which is an old, I hesitate to say blaxploitation film because it's mostly just a weird art film about vampires, but it is a really good weird art film about vampires. We watched The Gate, which is it's a Canadian film that has, be warned, the kids say a couple of slurs in it, but also it's a really fun, old, like, kind of kids wanting to be poltergeist, but for younger audience,
Yeah.
and it's just
It did
fun and
give
has
us-
good fun special effects.
It did give us the fantastic line, "Are you two fagging off in here?" Which is now part of my lexicon.
And speaking of part of our lexicon, we also watched the Rankin Bass film Mad Monster Party, which made
is
us
the
all
Mummy.
start yelling "It's the Mummy" at each other. Which
It's
I
the
also
Mummy!
recommend,
It's the mummy!
although not necessarily for good reasons, just because it's a really fun, stupid old Rankin Bass film. I don't know if there were any others on my list that people would like.
I only recommended one film, and that was The Visitor from 1974. You should watch The Visitor from 1974. I didn't bring it up because I think I've recommended it on this podcast before now. But that's a fucking great film. You should You should watch it. Don't look up anything about what it's about. It's the 1974 Visitor. Strap the fuck in.
Yeah, we watched a bunch of horror movies. Those are the ones that I recommended, and they turned out to all be some level of banger, even if they weren't all bangers for the reasons I expected. And then I guess I'll also follow this up with, we didn't watch this year, but last year we watched Night of the Hunter, which is maybe my favorite horror film ever. Watch Night of the Hunter instead of any of those films, but then watch them.
No, I am Belina. I'm still most easily found in the show notes in even fewer places than before, having detonated my own Twitter account already. Let's see. I probably recommended it last year, but Slay the Princess just got a huge update called the Pristine Cut, which released like a year and a day after the original 1.0, and it's good. The game's still really good, and they added a bunch of stuff to some of my favorite characters, so go check that out. Just in case I did recommend that last year, in terms of recommending anime, I'm going to recommend Mayanaka Punch, which is one of the few cases where we find a decent anime that wasn't something else first. It's like it was an anime first instead of being like a light novel or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
A streamer girl gets kicked off of the group that she's with because she punched somebody. And at the same time, a vampire wakes up from a 20-year dream in which she saw someone who looked exactly like our heroine. So they end up entering this Faustian bargain. The girl needs somebody to be the front for a YouTube group for her, and she'll donate her blood if they can manage to get to 100 subs. This is an incredibly corny setup, but it turns out to be one of the most bizarrely heartfelt shows that I've seen in a long time, while also making me howl with laughter on the reg.
Oh, hell yeah.
I absolutely loved that show. It was perfectly to my taste. If you've heard any of my recommendations earlier and enjoyed them, yeah, I completely chime in. I loved that show.
Hell yes.
I have been the internet's beloved Princess Grace. You can find my writing programs podcast post and everything else that's fit to plug, including, as always, news story this month at princess.software. You have to scroll down because I hide the more prominent link to my pornography when I'm unemployed. Hopefully I'll have a job by the next time we do this. We'll see. But, shit, fuck, what am I gonna recommend? If you played Team Fortress 2 recently, it's still pretty good. They got rid of the bots. It's,
I think this is the fourth time you've recommended Team Fortress 2 on this podcast.
but not in a row.
It's still good.
I don't know, have you tried installing Linux? Huh? I'm trying. Whenever we do this, I go back and shit. What have I been doing lately? But it's been like installing Linux, dressing up as a Wikipedia mascot, and studying for a work interview.
Your costume was so good, by the way. I really
you,
love how it turned out. You looked so cute.
Oh, you flatter me. I'm gonna wear it to the Seattle GNU Linux conference this weekend. So.
Oh my God, they're gonna love it. Holy shit. Fuck yeah.
Or Person of Interest, huh? You started watching Person of Interest, and it's pretty good. I'm getting Person of Interest build.
The show everyone is suddenly talking about. That show is great. I gotta watch more of that. It's really fun.
If you want to watch the show that was described to me as 9/11 is the sonic rain boom of the Person of Interest universe.
That is so true.
Please don't explain this. I've seen the show. Hale exposed you to a lot of Dropout stuff lately, which I kind of suspect is how you got on that train too.
I mean, I saw my ex talking about it, but
oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah. Thanks for listening to Discoverers. We'll see you next time with Monstrous Regiment.
I'm so excited.
Woo!
Till then, truly they were the weenus freenus men. Thank you, and have a good night. Unless it's daytime when you're listening to this. Have a good
Follow
day.
your dreams, every pony.
Did you turn your clock back yet? It's daylight savings time now.
Yeah, it's been that way for a couple of weeks by the time you hear this.
Yeah. If you haven't turned your clocks back now, I mean, you really got to do it at this point.
Truly, it was daylight savings time.
I thought it was gay wife shavings time. That makes sense.
Truly, it wasn't gay wife shavings time.
I mean, you can shave your gay wife whenever you really want.
Yeah.
Anyways, have a good night,
I'm out.
folks.
Bye.